I know we're getting close. What is that? What is that? There it is!
Oh, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
First one's here. First one's here. First one's here. Come on, I'll race you.
Yeah, I really don't remember that movie ending exactly that way, but you know, Rada Roasting Yog can pull off some crazy stuff. That said, in the intro there, you might have noticed this new card right here. It's my reveal for Madness at the Darkmoon Faire. It's Revenant Rascal, a new Warlock minion. It's a 3-mana 3/3, and the battle cry reads, destroy a mana crystal for both players. So symmetrical mana destruction here. The way this works is, say you're playing this on turn 3, you're going to go back to 2 mana, which means the next turn, your mana is going to increase naturally back to 3. So instead of going to 4, you'd be going to 3. If your opponent was going to be going to 3 mana to match you, you're going to push them to where they're only going to have 2 mana next turn instead of 3. And for each subsequent turn throughout the course of the game, because these are the mana crystals, it's not just like a 1-turn delay like Demon Hunter's mana burn. This is for the rest of the game. So you can really slow down your opponent's acceleration into, big late game threats and bomb cards. It's essentially an anti-ramp card, but one that punishes you as much as your opponent, unless you build your deck in a specific way where you're completely okay with that. So when I look at Revenant Rascal, I basically see a few different use cases for this card. Like we teased in the intro, if your opponent has some big key awesome thing they're trying to do, like play an old god that's going to win them the game, you can play Revenant Rascal to slow down that play. Particularly, you could even time it at exactly the right moment. Say they're at 9 mana, they're going to go into 10 mana next turn, you play Revenant Rascal, that pushes them back down to 8 so that they roll into 9 mana when it's their turn, thereby denying them the opportunity to play an old god that turn. If you played a second Revenant Rascal, you could slow that down again, slowing that power play. Buy yourself a turn or two to find the lethal out yourself, find the stall card, find some health, whatever it is you might need. The Revenant Rascal can essentially slow down and disrupt your opponent's plans, finding you time to do what you need to win the game. Now, one thing to note with this card is that it does lose utility once everybody gets to 10 mana. If your opponent's at 10 mana and you play Revenant Rascal, it's going to push them back to 9 mana. What's going to happen is when it hits their turn, they're naturally just going to roll back up to 10 mana anyway, so you didn't really do anything unless you push 2 Revenant Rascals in a single turn. That would push them down to 8, and they'd roll back up to 9. So as a single card, it does lose utility past 10 mana, so you got to make sure to play this at the right moments, have it early in the game, or it may not be anything but a 3-mana 3/3 for you. Alternatively, for the Revenant Rascal, I think another cool way to use this is just keep the mana of the game in check in general. Say your deck thrives more at lower mana cost and you know your opponent has some big swingy style cards in the mid to late game that you don't want to encounter. Think about things like Druid with Guardian Animals. You don't want them playing Guardian Animals. You know as soon as they do, the game's going to swing, they're going to take the board back, and you're going to lose. If you want to slow down those Guardian Animal turns, Revenant Rascal can help you keep the game, a mana or 2 lower so that you can just dump all your 1-drops, play your zoo archetype style, and never really face that point where your opponent turns the corner and overwhelms you, or at the very least delay it to such an extent where they just don't have a lot to do. They're sitting on awkward, expensive cards. Their hand is less efficient, less playable than yours, allowing you to gain that incremental advantage thanks to the Revenant Rascal while still developing a nice 3/3 body along the way. Not the most powerful play, but if you think you can reap the benefits of that lower mana cost game, then it's certainly not a big sacrifice to make. And then another cool use case, I think, for the Revenant Rascal is basically what I'm calling like a Lotheb style card. What I mean by that is, say you're building a board out as a zoo style deck and your opponent's a warrior and you're about to go into their 5-mana turn and you know that Brawl is a huge threat to answer your board. Like it's just going to remove everything you have. And you don't want Brawl to happen. You want to stall out that Brawl, so you play Revenant Rascal. That pushes them back to where they'll be at 4 mana instead of 5 mana on that turn. Unable to play Brawl, you've cemented your board for one more turn. Maybe that allows you to get that lethal push you need, or at least get enough chip damage that you can finish the game off later on that second wave by delaying one of their key removal turns. We saw that in the past with a card like Lotheb. This may not pack quite as much punch as Lotheb, but it can still answer those key breakpoints for certain kinds of removal cards. Think about the same thing like Soul Mirror with Priest. Delaying that a turn could go a really long way towards keeping your board alive and allowing you to win a game. All that said, I still think there are a lot of different ways for Warlock to play a card like this one. We've seen a handful of different disruption style stuff in Warlock, so that's pretty cool. We've seen certainly a lot of zoo style plays in Warlock. If we think this fits in to protect your zoo and slow down your opponents, basically is that anti-ramp style card that it can be. That could go a long way in certain metas as well. So I'm really excited to see how the Revenant Rascal gets played because I think it has a lot of potential across various Warlock archetypes we've seen in the past. And maybe it even helps to find some new deck. Maybe there's ways to double this battle cry or create extra limits on your opponent's mana. We'll have to see more Darkmoon Faire cards to know just how this one slots in, but I definitely think it's a card with potential. That said, I'm really curious. What do you guys think you're going to do with a Revenant Rascal? How is this card going to get played? What decks is it going to fit best in? What are the key moments you think you'll want to use the Revenant Rascal? Or are you just going to play it on curve always to keep mana in check? So share your thoughts and deck ideas down there in the comments below. Thanks much for joining me for this card reveal. And until next time, game on.